Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Nhut about Peacemaker on HBO Max. Welcome to the show, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to chat with you. I mean, we talked about before we started. I mean, it's a superhero show, and it's a great superhero show. It's also one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. It's pretty cool. Maybe you wouldn't think that like one of the funniest shows you've ever seen would be a superhero show, but here we are with Peacemaker.
Right, yeah. I remember first reading the script, I was laughing out loud, like thinking this is the funniest script I've ever read. And then while filming, we just had such a blast. Like every day was so much fun, always cracking up. So I'm glad the audience sees that too.
They're saying it's one of the biggest shows on the planet. What's kind of going through your mind after every episode kind of drops and kind of seeing the reception on a global level?
I'm super excited that the fans have been receiving it as well as they have. And to wake up that other morning to see that Peacemaker was one of the biggest shows in the world was just so mind-blowing.
Is it really exciting when you kind of sign on to this project? You like audition and everything, and then you kind of find out, you're going to be a superhero. You're going to have a really cool costume. There's going to be some funny banter with a lot of different characters. Like, what's going through your mind when you kind of sign on for this project, nah?
Interestingly enough, when I first was auditioning, they sent over the role description,
Hmm.
and the character's name was Marshall, like Marshall.
Hmm.
Martial artist was the name, and I was like,
Ah.
"Oh, this is funny." So I read it, and then they offered me the role after I sent in like my stunt reel and like some hand-to-hand combat stuff and met with the stunt coordinator and all that. They offered me the role, and I thought I was
Mhm.
just playing some like henchman or whoever it is. And it wasn't until my costume fitting that they were like, "Oh, we're gonna set up an appointment for you to do a 3D scan for your super suit." And I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, what? What's going on?
Yeah, and they were like, "Well, you're playing Judomaster," and I was like, "Oh, cool." And I like quickly like Googled it because I didn't really know who that
Did
was.
you say that word for word? Did you say, oh, cool?
Yeah, I was just like, "Oh yeah, cool, awesome." And then I Googled it and I was like, "Wait, this guy has like a whole comic book series, back in the 60s." And I was like super excited. I call like my manager and like my mom and I was like, "I'm I think I'm playing a superhero." So, yeah, that was, like, super crazy. I was, like, jumping, running around my house screaming.
So you said so you're an actor, but you do stunts, right? Is that which one came first? Did you do stunts first or did you act first?
So I started in acting,
Yeah,
and, as a lot of upcoming actors will attest, it's very hard to get your foot into Hollywood.
yeah,
And so at first I tried, like, the improv route. I did UCB, Groundlings, and all that kinda
of
stuff,
course, yeah.
and wasn't getting much traction there, and so I thought maybe I could become like an action actor, So I
Mhm.
started doing the stunt route. I started training martial arts, doing wushu, taking some like wire classes and stuff like that. Just any way to get into Hollywood.
Yeah. So the stunts that we see in the show, is that did you do all the stunts?
I did not do all the stunts.
Okay.
I had a stunt double, and we have an amazing stunt team.
Mhm.
And and to clarify, I think calling myself a stunt person or a stunt man before this was sort of it
A
sort of
stretch
takes
maybe?
away, yeah,
Yeah.
from like the real stuntmen because like to go see like what they go through like every day, it's
It's crazy.
amazing, and they take like years of like practice and all that kind of stuff,
So
you
I
know.
spoke to someone about like I had like a couple of stuntmen on my show. Like that's all they do, right? And they body double and everything. And like
Mhm.
they hearing about the world of like stunts is so interesting and like the landscape. And like I didn't know a lot about it. I was getting educated about it. I was like, wow, like this is really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, what they put their bodies through is just amazing, and like the years of training just to be able to fall and like look convincingly like hurt.
Absolutely. John Cena is in this show.
The legend himself.
What's it like just being on a show with him, just seeing him do his thing? Like what's it like?
It's pretty amazing, and most days I was in awe of him. Because he's like so talented, so funny, and super sweet. I wasn't expecting how nice he was gonna be.
It was a good segue from the stuntman talk, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like an athlete to the extreme. He's like so professional, amazing.
He's like he I was telling you before we started, like the show is so funny and he does such an amazing job. Have you had a chance to go back and like watch some episodes and clips?
Yeah.
And are you laughing as much as I am? Because there's some funny moments in this show.
Yeah, I cackle when I watch the show. I like always enjoy myself watching it, and then I would pop on the screen and I forget that I'm in the show. I'm like, oh, I'm in this. I'm just like having a fun time watching it.
I did an interview with Steve Agee, who's also in the show, and he brought up one of the coolest things I've never thought of before. And anytime I interview someone for Peacemaker, I want to kind of bring it up and get your kind of input on it as well. It's like canon, right? Like the DC world, and in this world, like all of the superheroes are in it, right?
Yeah.
And like then there's Peacemaker, who's like wacky and like not the sharpest tool in the shed, and like doing all this stuff. He's in the same world as like the serious, like superheroes, right? Like Batman and Superman. Isn't that's interesting, right? To think about it all.
Yeah. It's really, really great that we're in that universe.
Yeah.
And it is a fun juxtaposition of like, the serious like superhero, and then there's like Peacemaker, like he's like on the fringes of the superhero society.
When I was younger, if I wore like a Batman shirt, if I was reading a comic, I'd get teased and people would say, oh, you're a nerd, you're a geek. If I did it now, I'd be the coolest kid in school.
Right.
I'd have people want to see the comic book. I'd have people talk to me about the last episode. When did you see that shift? Like, I feel like that shift of nerd culture, geek culture being like super popular and unbelievable, I feel like it's been a while. But do you do you have a time frame? Like last couple of years, last 5 years? Like, what do you think about that a little bit?
I would say being like a child of the 90s, early 2000s, of like, like watching Saturday morning cartoons and stuff like that. And as those kids grew up to be adults, there's like a huge influx of like, oh, we love that as a kid, why not like embrace that,
It's so crazy though, because the biggest shows on the planet are superhero shows and comic book shows. Same with movies. Like, it's insane. And like sci-fi culture and geek culture, and even like, I'm a big horror movie fan, right? Horror movie wasn't seen at like when I was growing up, like it had its kind of niche like audiences and everything. But think about it. When horror movies come out now, it's like the talk of the town, basically.
Yeah. I think it's nice because people are just letting their freak or nerd flag fly, and I think nowadays it's nice to connect with other people who have your same interests or hobbies.
Yep.
And so if you're wearing like a Superman shirt, you're like, hey, like I watched that earlier, you have something to bond over.
Absolutely. Or a Peacemaker shirt, because I need some Peacemaker merch. I don't know about you, man. I need some Peacemaker merch. There's some good stuff out there.
Yeah. I have a few things. And I like always wear it to like the watch parties and stuff, but I sort of feel weird wearing it outside. Just be like, hey, I'm in this,
Peacemaker dropped on HBO Max, and there was one thing everyone was talking about when it dropped. And I think you have an idea of what I'm talking about right now. And what am I talking about?
Is it the dance intro?
Correct. What do you say when, like, I don't know, like, speechless. Like, it's the coolest thing ever, but I didn't, like, it totally catches me off guard.
Yeah, honestly. I think when the cast heard that this is what they're doing, they were all like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Like it's James, and whatever he wants, we sort of follow him to it. And
so what was that whole thing like?
It was a few lessons in like the dance choreography.
Yeah.
And then for me, they wanted to do something special for Judomaster, so they hooked me up on a harness and put me inside a little box under the ground, and I popped up and get hoisted on John's shoulders. Yeah, it was fun.
You just describing that is like the greatest thing ever. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like I remember the one day they're like, "Oh, so you learn a few of the dances, but I don't think we're gonna do that.
Mhm.
Um, this is what we're gonna do instead." And I was like, "Okay, sure."
One of my ever. It's crazy because I keep doing this interview with you, and I'm like, this is what I love the most about the show. No, wait, this is what I love most about the show. No, wait, this is what I love.
Yeah.
The music is so good.
Oh my gosh, I love the music. And like when James sent over the script,
Yep.
would send over his Spotify playlist as well, and so we get to hear the music while we're reading the script, and it was just so perfect.
It's I listen to so many of the songs like all the time.
Yeah, it's great. Like that, it would be on my gym playlist,
Oh,
and I've never heard of like most of these songs before, you know.
yeah.
And so
I
for
feel,
James,
and some of them are like older songs, or some of them are like, I don't like to use the word obscure, but like lesser known songs from like
yeah,
2007.
it's like
Like,
Swedish metal. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah. There's some, the
amazing.
Poodles, like that's
Great
yeah.
song. I love that
So,
song.
my God. This is so good. There's so much to love. When people get a chance to watch it, obviously you hope they laugh. You hope they have a good time
Mhm.
diving deep into it a little bit more. When they get to watch Peacemaker on HBO Max, what are you hoping they get out of it, takeaway wise?
Um, I think because the cast is so great and there's so many of us that
Yep.
I'm hoping people will find one of the characters or more to resonate with.
Yep.
Um, just like they've described it as a workplace comedy, you know, and so if you can see yourself in one of these characters and can relate to and have fun watching it, like I think that's the best that we can do, especially in this time, you know.
It's not far-fetched when I say it's like one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. Like I'm telling you right now. And it
Oh,
must
thank
be
you so
crazy to
much.
hear. It must be crazy to see that like consensus that it is like unbelievably funny like, across the board, right?
Yeah, it's a bit surreal because this is sort of my first big outing,
Yeah.
and to see this reception, I don't really have anything to compare it with,
Yep.
and so I am super grateful that this is the first thing and it's being received so well.
Was there a scene that you did involving Judomaster that was like the hardest to do because you laughed a lot, or like a hardest to do because it was just like a lot going on? Like, is there any scene quickly that you could tell me about
I
that
think
we've seen? That we've seen.
right, yeah. Don't want to get
Um,
fired. Um, so I'll say the scene with the throwing the Cheetos in
the
episode
Cheetos.
3.
The Cheetos.
That
Yeah.
was
I was about to
prob-
say like Cheetos.
yeah, that's like my the best day I've ever had on set. It was so much fun. Like
Wow.
we went over the script, or yeah, as it was written, and then what's great about James is like after he got what he wants, he'll be like,
Mhm.
okay, let's just play with it, you know, and he'll throw out lines, and it was just such a blast on set that day.
So cool. No, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on Popternative and chatting about Peacemaker. This is awesome, man. Seriously.
Of course, thank you.
So Peacemaker's on HBO Max, and they're gonna be able to check that out. Where can people follow you on social media to keep update with everything?
On social media, on Instagram and Twitter, you can follow me at itsnhule,
Yeah.
ITSNHUTLE.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Popternative.com has a lot of other cool content as well. And wherever you listen to podcasts, you'll find our audio only versions of the episodes as well. This has been Popternative with Nhut, who plays Judomaster and Peacemaker on HBO Max. And Peter Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.